I'd like to call this meeting of your Newark City Council in order. Autumn, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Here.
Mr. Bub?
Here.
Mr. Fennell?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Ms. Hall? Here. Mr. Labutus?
Here.
Mr. Lang?
Here.
Mr. Marmee?
Present.
And Mr. Rapp?
Here.
We have all 9 here this evening. Would you please rise for the invocation by Mr. Blake, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
You can bow your heads. Lord, we welcome you into this space. We thank you for the many blessings in our community and our city in 2019. We begin a new year. With your guidance and strength and prayers, we will make the citizens, this life better for the citizens of Newark. We thank you for everything that you already know that you're going to provide to us in this coming year, and we thank you for the leadership in this room. We thank you for all these things. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Next on the agenda this evening, we have caucus. That's a time for council to discuss anything pertaining to the agenda tonight. Do we have anything? We move on to the minutes of our December 16, 2019 meeting. Is there a motion to approve those? Motion. Motion by Mr. Labutus.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lang. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. That passes. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have our proposed Newark City Council committee assignments for the next 2 years. If you'd like to just take a moment and take a look at those. This is done by the majority and minority leader. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you. Next, we have the adoption of the rules and order of business for council. Basically, those have not changed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That also passes. We have one appointment this evening, Mayor Hall appointing Bill Cost and actually 2, and reappointing Julie Barrett to the Licking County Transit Board. Julie's position will be an alternative member. Their new 3-year terms begin January 1, 2020 and will expire December 31st, 2022. Mayor, would you like to say anything?
Hey, just a couple quick things. Shirley Stair, as is a familiar name at this dais, served in that capacity on the transit board for many years, and I want to thank her for years of service. She has chosen to step back this year, and so I had an opportunity and put Mr. Cost in there, and he was very grateful to have that. I look forward to his great involvement with the county as we move transit operations forward. So I would ask for his approval. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you. Next, we have reports of standing committees. We have 2, one from Finance and one from Service. Without objection, those will be received and filed. Also, reports from city officials. We have one from Barb Jobs, our city income tax revenue administrator. The income tax revenue reports for the period ending December 16th, 2019. Without objection, that'll be received and filed. Also, we have one communication from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control. Transfer application from Newark Downtown Center, Inc., DBA, the Center to Historic Arcade 2, LLC, at 33 North 3rd Street, floor and basement. Without objection, that'll be received and filed. Next on the agenda, we have comments from citizens. There are 2 places to speak. One is now, one is after the legislation. This is not a debate with council. This is just your opportunity to be heard. Do we have anyone that would like to speak in this first section? Just raise your hand and I'll call you up. Anyone tonight? Okay. Again, there's another opportunity when we get done with the legislation. Next, we move on to ordinances on the first reading, 19-43.
Ordinance 19-43 by Mr. Rapp, Mr. Marmee, Mr. Lang, an ordinance amending Chapter 618 and 672 of the codified ordinances of the City of Newark, Ohio, to permit a controlled urban geese hunting program within the city limits pursuant to the terms and conditions of the City of Newark Director of Public Safety.
19-43 will be held 2 weeks and a day to our next meeting, which will be January 21st. Now we move to resolutions on the second reading, 19-88.
Resolution 19-88 by Mr. Rapp, Mr. Cost, Mr. Marmee, and Mr. Lang, a resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service of the City of Newark, Ohio to accept bids and enter into contracts subject to the appropriation of funds for construction of the Tamarack Transmission Line Project.
You've heard the second reading of 19-88. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Rapp.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt 19-88.
Motion by Mr. Rapp.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bub. Is there any discussion on 19-88? Seeing none, I'll please call the roll to vote.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Fennell?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Labutus?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
And Mr. Rath?
Yes.
19-88 passes 9-0. Next, we move on to resolutions on the first reading, 19-90.
Resolution 19-90 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Marmee, Mr. Lang, a resolution authorizing participation and ratifying prior participation of the City of Newark, Ohio with the Department of the Army Corps of Engineers and the Ohio Department of Transportation for the design and construction of the City of Newark, Raccoon Creek, Licking County, Ohio, Section 14 Emergency Stream Bank Protection Project, and authorizing the Director of Public Service of the City of Newark, Ohio, and other City of Newark officials to act for and on behalf of the City of Newark, Ohio, and executing, accepting, or otherwise approving all documents, agreements, instruments, and other necessary papers required by the Department of Army to implement said participation in the project.
19-90 will be held for 2 weeks for a second reading. You get to read that again. And next on the first reading, we have 19-91.
Resolution 19-91 by Mr. Marmee, Mr. Rath, and Mr. Lang, a resolution appropriating monies for the current expenses of the municipal corporation.
And 19-91 will be held for 2 weeks and a day to our next meeting on January 21st. That concludes the legislation this evening. Next on the agenda, we have our second opportunity for comments from citizens. Do we have anyone? Sir? Do we have anyone else? I don't see any other hands up. Just give us your name and address for the record, please.
Thomas Bruner, 419 South 2nd Street. My question is, there's some confusion on the noise ordinance. The last time I was here was back, I believe, back in September when they had the music venue down on Vogel Street. I was told, well, several of us was told, that there is no noise ordinance by council. Okay, we also questioned about the decimal meters. We was told it took 5 minutes before to calibrate the decimal meters. Once they got the reading, then they had to calibrate again, and it took 5 minutes later. Okay, I had an instance, Christmas Day. I decorate my house every year for Christmas. I have what they call a projector with a speaker in the back. It plays music. It plays Christmas music. It's not that loud. I had an officer come out Christmas Day and tell me I had to turn it off. So I went out and turned it off. Just the music. Okay. We always run our music from Thanksgiving Day, or our lights or whatever from Thanksgiving Day until the day after Christmas. No complaints up until Christmas Day. The day after Christmas, we lit it at 5 o'clock in the evening. I was going to play it until midnight. And the lights. At 10 minutes till 10, I had an officer come out and tell me I had to turn it off. We had a complaint. It was a retaliation complaint. I know what it is. But I'd like to get a clarification on the noise ordinance, because here I was told there is no noise ordinance. The officer that come out the day after Christmas said there is a noise ordinance, and the quiet times from 10 o'clock in the evening till 5 o'clock in the morning. And he told me to look it up under newarkohio.net under coded ordinances. I bring it up there. That expired on January 2nd of 2019. But if you look under the noise, it says for speakers, musical instruments, and stuff like that, it's from 9:30 at night until 7 o'clock in the morning is quiet time. So I'd just like clarification on what the right thing is to do. It's confusing.
All right.
That's all I need.
Stick around for a minute after the meeting. I'll see if I can get you an answer.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Frazier. welcome back.
Mark Frazier, 20 West North Street, Newark, Ohio. So it's nice to be on this side of the podium because I don't have a time limit, and so feel free to gavel away. But I wanted to take this time to congratulate everybody that's serving this year. I'm making the gauntlet right now to all the various councils and township trustees meetings. We do have a municipal mayor's conference on Wednesday this week, and we're going to look at intergovernment cooperation within the district. And so I look forward for your guys' cooperation as well as the mayor's office as we try to improve the district and make sure that everybody moves forward in a common direction. So I appreciate all of your service and your dedication, and I definitely wanted to start this circuit with you guys because this is where I'm from, and I really appreciate your guys' dedication and wanting to work together. So I look forward to working with you guys in the future. Once again, if there's anything that I can do to help, anything you guys need, feel free to let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Any city officials this evening? Our Honorable Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will pass.
Your perfect opportunity to do a Clemson comment, and you better do it now.
Wait till the next game. We have one more game to play.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Mayor Hall?
I'm going to stay out of football conversation completely from my angle. So just wish everybody a Happy New Year, and I look forward to working with council for this new year to help move Newark forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Blake?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to congratulate the mayor, Mr. Bubb, on beginning a new term, and welcome Mr. Harris up here. So it's good to have everyone back up here and get kicked off, and hope we have a great year for the citizens of Newark, and looking forward to working with everybody. That'll yield.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Mr. Bubb?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to welcome Mr. Harris. So I look forward to working with you here in the near future. I also had a note here to call personnel committee meeting for 2 weeks. I would encourage for anyone that wasn't at the personnel committee meeting regarding the chief's raises, I would encourage the majority and minority leader to evoke Rule 11 at the next meeting. Since we did discuss everything in committee, I don't know that I would see a need to hear that again in personnel committee meetings. So I would encourage both Doug and Jeremy to evoke Rule 11 at the next council meeting. And with that, I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bubb. Mr. Fennell?
I would also like to congratulate Mr. Bubb and Mayor Hall on your election, and also welcome Mr. Harris to council. I look forward to working with you, and Happy New Year. That I will yield.
Thank you, Mr. Fennell. Mr. Harris?
Hey, I just want to thank everybody for all their support, and I look forward to working with everybody. I want to remind everybody on January 20th is the Martin Luther King breakfast at 8 o'clock at the Reese Center, and I have tickets if anybody's interested. I think they're $35 a piece. It's a good organization to support the kids over there. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Chair. Is that still put on by PARX?
Yes, it is. PARX.
Ms. Hall?
Yes, thank you. I want to congratulate Mayor Hall and Bob. Looking forward to working together and welcoming Mr. Harris.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Mr. Levitas?
Just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year, and also congratulate Mayor Hall and Mr. Bubb on starting another term, and welcome Mr. Harris as well. Look forward to working with each of you. With that, I will pass.
Thank you, Mr. Levitas. Mr. Lang?
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate everybody starting their new terms, which I think also includes Mr. Ellington and Mr. Sasson as well. Congrats on winning your elections against some guy who I think, what was his name, unopposed?
Yeah.
I
was touch and go there for a while.
No, Mr. Harris, looking forward to having you up here and working with you. Welcome, and Happy New Year to everyone. With that, I'll yield.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. By the way, nice beard. I didn't know who you were there for a minute. That's very nice. Mr. Martin?
Yes, I need to call a Finance Committee meeting for the 21st. I want to congratulate everybody who was elected and starting their new terms, just like everyone else. And I want to welcome Mr. Harris back. And so I had the pleasure of serving with him previously, so this is the next go-round. So welcome back, Jeff, and I look forward to working with you, and also with working with everybody on council currently, and also everybody who was elected to the new positions. We'll have to work on getting in opposition for the president next time, right? I don't get it.
I can't be a good idea.
Or wait, no, we may not. He'll probably be aged out by now.
Is there an age limit? I figured he said without a
Grab more, Mr. Ryan. Are you
I
done?
pass, yes.
Mr. Rath?
First gavel of 2020, I love
Well,
it.
Mr. Claus told me I should use it a lot more, so I'm doing it.
I was just
Warming up.
about to say, and probably the last. Congratulations, Mayor Hall, Mr. Sassen, and Mr. Ellington for being so intimidating that nobody would run against you. Also congratulations to Ryan for winning your re-election. Mr. Harris, well, look forward to working with you, Jeff. I think you'll do a great job. I wish everybody a happy new year and call a service committee meeting for January 21st. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. I'd also like to congratulate everyone. It's a tough job. It's good to see you back. You've served before, so it's nice to have you back. I just want to mention the City Hall will be closed Monday the 20th for Martin Luther King Day, so our next meeting, our committee meeting will be the 21st at 5:45. Full council will be the 21st at 7 p.m. And with that, so a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Labuda, second by Mr. Lang. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. We're adjourned.